Welcome to the Dr.Z NFT Podcast with your host Waxwars and award-winning artist Matt Gaser. And today, Gordon, straight from Scotland. Woohoo!
Gordon Neal. Yes.
Hello. Hey.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Yeah.
Gordon Neal has been instrumental in getting our 3D adventure game and assets for the card game up and running. Fantastic work, my friend. We've been so happy to have you on board, and longtime fan and friend of mine. And I never thought this day would ever come. So what a treat.
Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for having me on the podcast.
Yeah. What's it like to be working with us, man? I'm just so curious. Like, I remember you had some emotional stuff happening when you first started because it was just so awesome to finally be a part of a project working with, other artists. And I know you've done that before, but this one in particular was special to you.
Yeah. I mean, I'll try and keep it as brief as I can, but yeah, I'm in 36 now. So I'm not too far removed from where Matt is in his life, but yeah, I worked as an engineer in Scotland till I was about 28, 29 years old, and then got bored of the 9-to-5 grind and loved video games. So I always thought there must be a career in that somewhere, but I always kind of painted and drew and done artistic stuff and creative outlets. So I thought, why not, try and get an art position? And I would watch a lot of the DVDs and read a lot of the art books that came with the games and thought, concept artists, that's a whole thing. So back in 2009, I think it was, I typed concept artist into Google, and Matt's website was the first one that came up. So that must be a hand of fate thing, but or good SEO. But yeah, looked through Matt's stuff. It was incredible. I really loved his as he's now been coined fantastical look to his artwork. And
thanks, buddy.
Emailed him, and it was just a lengthy email about emailed before I could just ping people on Facebook or reach out to people in any other sense. Like, I think even back then, social media wasn't even really in its infancy. But
right.
But yeah, so just sent him an email, said, look, I want to be a concept artist, any advice, tips? And I think it took him about 6 months to get back to me. But when he did, yeah, I got a really lengthy response about, hey, Gordon, thanks for checking out my work. And sure, I can give you some tips. And I got a whole thing of, people to check out. And Matt was the first person that introduced me to Scott Robertson and looking at his stuff. So yeah, and then 10 years later, Matt ended up hiring me. So it's been
very crazy.
It's been an emotional journey. Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I had spent more time with you at that convention. The name of it's Lightbox. That was 2 years ago that we caught up with each other.
First got to meet you, but then you were super busy, catching up with people as well, and it
was crazy. That was a crazy convention.
Yeah. It was in Pasadena. Yeah.
California. Yeah, it's actually that's where I went to art school too. It's in Pasadena, so it was really nostalgic to come back to town, and I had a lot of old friends that still live there that I was checking out.
Yeah, Glenn Rain, right? Because
Glenn Rain. He came by, and he was my roommate. Now he's a total god in terms of Blizzard Entertainment and World of Warcraft. But we were roommates. We actually came from the same town area, up in Humboldt, Humboldt County, where we grew up. So it was good seeing him, and good seeing you too.
Yeah.
Man. I remember when we got a chance to sit next to each other at that mixer, and Ian McKay was literally standing right in front of me. And I have a lot of friends that know him, and I know he knows me too. But everyone was basically in line trying to get
to talk to him.
Get to talk to him. I was like, I'm not going to waste this time.
So I would stand in line. Yeah, I met him at Lightbox. I met him at the concept art award show that they done there. Because a couple of my buddies won some awards, but he was at the front, and after the thing ended, because there was only about 40 people there. I just talked to him, and he was like, "Oh, you're Scottish? Oh my god!" Because he studied in Glasgow. So,
McCaig.
Yeah. His family's from there. Yeah, and Glasgow School of Art are still proud to have him as an alumni. So, but yeah. So he was talking away to me, and I got to meet so many awesome people there. There was Ian. I got to meet Mike Mignola, who invented Hellboy. Got to meet him for a whole half an hour.
I got a funny story about Mike Mignola. I was at a convention in Portland. I'd say 3 or 4 years ago, and he came by my desk, but I didn't recognize him, and he was pouring through my book, and he was like, "Wow, man, great work." And I'm like, "Hey, thanks. What's your name?" He's like, "Mike." And I'm like, "Oh, cool. What do you do?" He's like, "Oh, I work on comics and everything, and I'm like, oh, are you an artist? He's like, yeah. What have you done? And he's like, oh, Hellboy. And I'm like, oh, Mike Mignola. Oh my gosh, I'm such a huge fan of yours. He's like, thanks, man. Well, nice work. And then he walks away, and I'm like, oh, I'm such a total jerk. I couldn't believe it.
I know. But that's the trap of these things. It's like you could be standing next to somebody who's worked on a million movies or whatever, but then you don't know because it's just people at the end of the day. And like even introducing you to Raph at that time when we were standing, and I said to Raphael, like, oh, this is Matt Gaser's my buddy. And Matt's like, the art director at Sony Santa Monica, works on God of War, but he's obviously huge digital artist.
Yeah, it's a big following.
Yeah, but there's just like there's people like that all over that just
the fans know though. The fans know though.
They do.
I mean, for me, one of the biggest starstruck moments of my life was when I was about 8th grade. All of the best artists at Marvel just kind of revolted, and they left and started their own company called Image Comics.
Image Comics. Yeah. Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane.
So when I was in 8th grade, I went in Northern California, we have something called WonderCon, which is kind of the opposite time of the year as Comic-Con, which is in San Diego. So up in the San Francisco. So up in the San Francisco area, there's this thing called WonderCon. And when I was in 8th grade, I went there, and we were just kind of like puttering around, and we went into this room, and it was Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, Todd McFarlane, just all the guys from Image were just in this room, and we got to talk to them for like 10 minutes, and there was just nobody around. I was just kind of like,
legends.
Just starstruck.
Jim Lee.
Pretty cool.
Jim Lee is my favorite all time.
I mean, like when I left my job initially, I actually thought I wanted to get into comics, but then I'd learned how low paid those guys are and overworked. So I mean, that's kind of why I went to games. But like, to this day, I mean, I don't know if you guys can see it, but like my book's just sitting like on the left of me. But like, I still sit and sketch. Like,
that's cool. Nice. Yeah.
Comic book stuff, just like So I mean, like that's still stuff that is near and dear to my heart. But then you tend to find there's a couple of guys that have actually crossed over and went from comics to games and animation because their penmanship is so. I mean, like Joe Madureira is one of the ones I can think of, and Joe Mad's been working for Marvel since he was 17, but he now runs Airship Syndicate in Austin, Texas, and they make Battle Chasers and Darksiders and a couple of other games. Now they're working with League of Legends to make some games for them, but he opened his own studio, after working in comics for years. So there's a whole slew of like fandom with guys at that caliber.
A lot of the comic artists moved over to becoming storyboard artists because essentially what they're doing is storyboarding on a graphic level. A lot more high fidelity, I'd say, but talk about easy work for those guys because they don't even have to sketch as hard and with their layouts and yet still block out shots. Totally. Yeah.
I still love to do storyboard stuff just randomly, just take a scene and break it down. But we interviewed Dan Milligan not too long ago on my podcast, and Dan's one of the most successful storyboard artists in the world, and he's worked on some crazy projects. But animation and comics there.
For any of you fans that watch our podcast, make sure to check out the Digital Artcast with Gordon Neal. He's been running a fantastic artcast, just interviewing artists and all kinds of talented people throughout the entertainment industry. So check it out, Digital Artcast. 5
years now. Yeah, we recently interviewed also Peter McConnell, who is one of the, as you know, the main symphony composers and audio directors for many, many titles, including Hearthstone and World of Warcraft and Double Fine stuff, Psychonauts, Grim Fandango. Way back in the day, he worked at LucasArts back in the day as well, and worked on the original, X-Wings, Monkey Island. I got to interview him as well. Cool.
So he probably knows my friend Bill Tiller because he worked on Monkey Island as well.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah. I've got a picture of him on the podcast. It was like the old LucasArts sound crew, and it's like a whole slew of dudes. But
when I was at Stormfront Studios when we were working on the Lord of the Rings 2 Towers video game for PlayStation 2, LucasArts was literally just down the road there in Terra Linda in San Rafael. And so a lot of those guys would have lunch with us, and it was a lot of fun. A little special. I mean, 20 years ago.
But you've been on the ranch, man. You've got a badge of honor that few have ever talked about and actually had. That you've worked on Skywalker Ranch.
Yeah, it was a cool experience. I was kind of at the top of my game for Stormfront Studios, and I felt kind of bittersweet leaving. But the trade-off was to obviously work at Lucasfilm, at the ranch, but Skywalker Ranch. But the thing is, I was just doing color keys and paint overs of like 3D stills of animatics. And for people that don't know what an animatic is, you take rough 3D models and you kind of rough in shots and rough animation. and figure out the whole 30-minute show. And then they would take like 30 different stills of that particular episode, and then they'd have me paint over them for lighting and color and make sure the design is all correct with the concept art. It was kind of grunt work, but I got really good at lighting, and it improved my work a lot, just always thinking about lighting and staging and all that. And anytime I got an establishing shot, they gave me the free reign to kind of create that. So I was always, and I also painted all the planets for any exterior planet shot.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing those. They were really cool.
And those ended up on Lego toy boxes, which was pretty funny.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Arodie and all those planets were on the Star Wars toys for Legos and things. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, great experience. The team, I mean, working with Dave Filoni was crazy. There were like 30 of us at the time working at the carriage house behind the.
Oh, you worked with Dave Filoni?
Yeah, I worked for. He was. He's the one that hired me. He was the one that interviewed me.
He's a legend, man.
And back then, he was known for just The Last Airbender, I think. The Last Airbender animated series, and George Lucas handpicked him to produce and create Clone Wars, and we were a tight knit team. I remember we had this big fireplace in the main room, and we'd roast marshmallows in the middle of the day, and it'd be raining outside.
He's talked about that. Yeah, recently I watched the Mandalorian making of where he sat down with Jon Favreau and a couple of directors, and he reminiscent about Skywalker back in the day. And he talked about that at length. Yeah,
that was a very special time. And then there's the Ewok Lake is on the. Another crazy thing is lunch breaks. We would go to Ewok Lake, and there's like a small little like restaurant style place there on the premise, and then afterwards we would play Aerobee, and we'd go out to the baseball field, and we'd just be chucking the Aerobee, for an hour, and we would always just be pitching ourselves that we're on Skywalker Ranch, just throwing a frisbee around, and the sun's out, and we go back to work and work on Star Wars. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Why did you ever leave the project? Did it just finish, or did you have something else to do? Or
I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm just all about creativity and exploring new worlds, and Star Wars has a lot of new world type of stuff. But I just never really was a concept artist. I was more of a lighting concept guy. I did get a chance to design a few things, but the vast majority of my colleagues did most of that. And I got burnt out of lightsabers and clone troopers. And my friends from the gaming industry, when Stormfront closed, they started a startup game company for this virtual world experience, which is kind of funny. They were like 12 years too early before this metaverse thing that we're seeing now. And we were basically trying to create a metaverse experience without a real understanding of how the economy was going to work, because that hadn't been figured out yet. Virtual reality was sort of still just kind of chugging along, not even a real thing. So when 2008 hit and the market crashed, venture capital dried up, and at some point they couldn't even pay our insurance. So that's when I decided to try and find a job. And I actually got rehired by Lucasfilm to be an official concept artist. But my first day, I walked in and everyone's like, "Matt, thank God you're here. We're working 10-hour days, 6-day work weeks." And I'm like, "Well, how long have you been doing that?" And they're like for 11 months. And I'm like, "What?" And I thought about my pay. I thought about my pay and my salary. And I thought about how my wife, I'm not gonna be able to see her. And I literally quit after my first day. I said, this isn't for me. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize what I was getting into. And Dave Filoni really fought to put me back on the team. And so I saw him at a convention like a year later, and he gave me a great big hug, and he said, "Matt, it's okay. You kind of taught us a lesson. We actually hired 5 more concept artists after you left, and we tried to figure out the schedule." So he's like, in a way, thank you. And we could have really used you, but in a way, thank you for kind of telling us that we weren't doing this the right way.
And I think Lucasfilm also, the pay is not the best, because they kind of think that people want to be there just to be there, right?
It's a privilege to be there, and there's always someone that's right behind you that's willing to take the place.
Take the job.
And at a certain point, you want to work on your own stuff too. I mean, or some people. I mean, some people are happy just to work on other people's stuff forever. But I worked on all 6 seasons of Lost and on Pirates of the Caribbean, Jurassic World, and it's fun to be a part of those things and see them. But then at a certain point, like what Matt and I are doing here is just to to make your own project is
Right.
just the best.
Right.
The best feeling ever is to be in total control of, the Chronicles of Dr. Zammsy.
Yeah, the creative process.
In a sense, Rolf, you could talk to that as well, because like there's a whole thing right now with Hollywood and the strike and everything right now because of the working conditions. Like, I mean, it's the same as in the game industry, and I think that's what's refreshing about working for you guys is like, Matt doesn't micromanage me. He doesn't check in every hour. He doesn't like hover over me when I'm doing things. He's like, "What are you up to date? Cool, check in, right? Send me feedback." And then we just do a quick, feedback in the morning, and then he just lets me do one thing. But the now, like you said, 16-hour working conditions, no breaks, 6-day working weeks. Like it's
crazy.
They never went on strike. They just authorized a strike, and that just got the producers in line to settle.
Oh, okay.
So they've never actually gone on strike. The IATSE, which is the International Group of Stagehands Union, they've never actually gone on strike. And this was the first time they ever had to authorize a strike. So they had everybody, all the union members voted to authorize a strike. So that gives your leadership the option to go on strike. And it's just when you come to the negotiation table, you have everything you need to, basically negotiate all the workers are looking for are just safe conditions and a fair wage. That's the main thing. And so
I watched a video with one of the girls who was talking about just like some of her friends who worked like 16 hours, then drove home and had an accident because they were so tired they just couldn't focus.
Our average day on Lost was 12 hours. I would say that was the average work day. And I think what sort of prompted the whole idea of the strike was that Apple, which is the most, I think Apple is literally by market cap the most valuable company in the world, Apple computers, and I guess they wanted to pay like a lower rate or something for the new Apple streaming service, and that was where they were just kind of like, hold on here, this doesn't make sense.
You're the wealthiest, most richest company in the world, and you want to make great content for cheap. Forget about it. Yeah.
Especially because a lot of those guys live in LA, and it's like it's already expensive enough to live, outside LA, but within the city center, like it's got to be a small fortune. I had a buddy who was staying and working at Riot Games, and she was sharing a flat with 2 other people, and she was nearly $2,000 a month for rent.
Wow.
And like in the center, like in the center of LA. So like
it's expensive.
Well, that's pretty cheap. I would say that's cheap for just renting, but like sharing a room. That's just renting a room with other people.
Yeah, for me that's extortionate. I could buy a house for that.
Yeah. I think my mortgage is somewhere around $3,500. So, but I bought it 10 years ago. So things have changed a lot since then.
Yeah. But you live quite far outside LA as well.
I live far away from LA. I live more in San Francisco Bay Area. Yeah, but it's a suburb of San Francisco. But living in San Francisco, dude, you're looking like for an apartment. Like I don't even know, like maybe $6,500. Yeah, it's crazy, and that's just for rent.
Yeah.
So Gordon, are you able to pull up like a web, can you screen share and show websites and stuff on this podcast or?
Not on this, but I can in post. I could put stuff up as a graphic if you want to send me stuff after the fact.
Because we should talk about tomorrow at 5 p.m. UTC time, and at 12 Eastern time is when we're having a big drop of our HODLGOD Dr. Zammsy collaboration.
Dude, so that turned out so well. The pack design, the way get that turntable going.
The render was cool.
Stellar, really cool. Yeah.
And if you go to Atomic Hub right now, go to Atomic Hub, wax.atomichub.io. Our banner's live on there. And if you click on the banner, it'll take you to the information Medium post that gives you information about the drop.
Yeah, and our staking system comes out live after or during the drop with Onnesis Whenstaking with the Void token. When does that come online? Is that right after the drop or during the drop?
That's to be determined, but I was told that it should be right around the same exact time as the drop. So
nice.
We'll just keep everyone posted as information becomes available. But it's, we're on the cutting edge here and it's new technology. So there could be, some hiccups here or there. But the coolest thing is our series 1 and 2 is going to be the first sort of outside project that's going to be on Whenstaking. Every other project was launched through Onnesis. Even though it incorporates art from other people, we're going to be the first where it was sort of retro, like taking our already published art from a separate project is going to be on Whenstaking. So
Nice.
We're pretty stoked about that.
Yeah, pretty stoked about. I mean, ever since we've launched our first set, fans and collectors have always been saying, "Where's the utility? Where's the functionality of these NFTs?" Because that does just collecting, cards doesn't cut it anymore. So it's pretty wild because we were talking with an advertiser earlier this morning, and not a lot of people understand what this whole staking system with Void really means. And I think, you project a year from now and there's going to be like 50, 60 projects on there, to be the first and to have such a great connection with Dante. It's like this family NFT, bridge connection. We're setting ourselves up, for some great success, I think, rolling into next year. Don't you think?
Yeah, we're just completely stoked with all the stuff. We got all these pots on that stove everywhere that are cooking right now. So
Gordon's definitely a pot for sure, cooking cool stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Go finish, please. Don't let me interrupt. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say it's handy. I think that I've just collected so many skills over the years because it's great in a small company where you have to wear kind of many hats. So it's been good that I can help recruit people. I can help produce with the podcast and media, and also make art, and even the fact that I've been doing more 2D stuff lately, and I've been trying to flex that muscle. That is something that I can maybe branch into at one point. So it's just a great opportunity just to expand and do loads of stuff at once. So yeah.
And we have lots of plans to use you for many different things or over the coming years, hopefully.
Yes.
I think to just like, for example, a great example is Carol. This marketing gal out of Brazil. We were able to achieve that hire through you, and I think many more to come through your channel. So you're running a lot of hats right now. You're a recruiter, 3D artist, podcast mentor. It just goes on and on and on.
But it's good to be well-rounded, especially when you start out, because then it's like you said, you're going to be expected to do a couple of things at once. So it's handy that I can do it, especially for us, because Specialize is great at the top when you're doing AAA stuff, but then when you have smaller studios, it doesn't wane down as good because you're only utilizing one person in one area. So,
but I mean, I'm very hopeful that in the coming months to the next year, our team's going to grow exponentially, and a lot of these, a lot of the stress and weight of taking on all these other things are going to be handed to a full-time staff member. So hopefully we can get that going.
Yeah. You were 2. You're now 6. So
exactly. Yeah, payroll.
HR.
Being our lawyer, HR, creative writer. Rolf is doing all this kind of stuff too. It's crazy.
So our banners are live on wax.atomichub.io, and also if you go to the wallet.wax.io on the actual Wax Cloud Wallet site also has a banner for this HODLGOD collaboration with Dr. Zammsy.
Nice. And I'm noticing too, we're getting some more followers on our Discord.
If you guys didn't know, I don't know if you've ever kind of mentioned in the podcast, but we have an official Discord for Dr. Zammsy. So if you guys haven't joined and you're listening, check that out. We'll try I'll try and get Rolf to leave the links in the show notes so you guys can click on it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I got some news here just in general, because we always do sort of like general crypto news. This is our first video podcast, which is really cool. But so we got about 5 different items here. This is I'm getting from CNBC. So over 5,000 people attended the NFT NYC conference in New York City that happened this last week. So that was pretty cool. Quentin Tarantino was there, including the Reddit co-founder, Alexis Ohanian, and Chris Rock, and a few others were all attending. And so everybody's it's just getting NFTs into the mainstream. It's becoming more people become aware of what the possibilities are. So that's pretty cool. I have a goal of us attending that next year. So I have my assistant working on that, trying to get us into the NFT NYC conference next year.
Yeah, maybe we can get some of our staff, pay for them to fly over if we have the funds for that, and we all go as a group, learn from each other, with each other. That'd be pretty sweet.
And then the incoming New York mayor, Eric Adams, he vows to take his first 3 paychecks in Bitcoin. So the actual new New York City mayor wants to get his paycheck in Bitcoin.
Wow.
So that's kind of crazy. Then the other thing is Congress just passed this 1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. And in that bill is sort of some regulatory stuff to do with crypto, which is good. It actually is going to push people to make it more mainstream, which if you guys haven't heard of the Celsius network, it's like a bank where you deposit your crypto and you can take loans out on it. And I know they're already following all the rules, but this whole infrastructure bill that passed is kind of making some clarity in the regulatory market for all the crypto assets, which is really good because it just makes it more mainstream and more legitimate. Because right now people still think crypto is this, are terrorists using it or something. But now that when it becomes part of the regulatory environment with the government, then people can trust it more that it's part of the main financial system.
That's fantastic. Yeah. I mean, as more people like Visa come online and make it more legit, it's all just coming together. Interesting to see in 5 years where this is all headed.
I mean, I can already see that. Like, it's going to be the Matrix, bro. Like, for sure.
Yeah.
We're going to be plugged in 24/7. We'll not even buy physical stuff anymore. It's all going to be digital goods, and there'll be no money. It'll just be numbers in a bank. Like, I think it's a way the entertainment industry's been going for a while, and I think it's going to go. Especially.
Go ahead, finish. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, a couple of years ago, I was already talking to some people in 2014 who were going on set and they were putting virtual reality headsets on directors so they could look at the sets pre-built. But as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh well.
It's going to be. And
I think that's what James Cameron's been doing for a while. Like he puts on a headset to see what it actually looks like.
Mm-hmm. Even the fact that Mandalorian was shot mostly on Unreal backgrounds and giant green screen areas, and that was all done in game engines. It's crazy how far they've come now, and I think with Facebook announcing Metaverse as well. It's more and more, and they're doubling down on crypto and NFTs as well. So that's going to be a whole thing.
It's a funny story, actually. My friend Richard Bluff, who used to live in my neighborhood, he's the senior visual effects supervisor for Mandalorian. I'd say about 3 years ago, he had a little barbecue. My wife and my daughter came over, hanging out with his family, and he lives in town here. And he was like, I was like, "What are you working on?" He's like, "Oh man, I'm working on this new Star Wars show." And he was telling me the story how Jon Favreau told Richard, he's like, "Okay, I want every single episode to feel like a shot from the movies." And he's like, "Yeah, at our budget, I don't think we can do that." And he's like, "Well, find a way." And so he researched that technology of the volume room, of those giant green screens where they can just project. Yep. And, they put those practical effects on the set, and then it's actually lit by the screens. And there's indistinguishable, you just can't tell where things begin and end. It's amazing.
Yeah. They done an early partnership with Epic, who obviously make Unreal Engine, and they've been adamant in making that technology work. But he was saying the thing with green screen is when you always key it, you'd always have this thing where actors, you would usually see this green fuzz that would sit usually in the outlay that you can never really get rid of. But that's what he tried to combat. Favreau was saying in Jungle Book when he directed it was the shot on blue screen, which is easier to light because of the sky. But then he says the fact that now we have these volume rooms where the light is accurate to everything, especially because Mando wears the reflective super metal helmet, and that would just reflect everything. But because the volume's reflecting and showing an actual picture of the environment, it's reflecting in real time what's in front of them, so they don't need to key that out. So it's we
had a great conversation with Myth Division. They're a company doing NFTs as well, but they're producers and they make movies and stuff. And the gal, do you remember her name, Rolf? Forget her name, darn it.
Sorry, can you give me the context real quick?
Oh, the gal from Myth Division, the producer.
Oh, Nicole
Rio. Yeah, she was a producer with Ron Howard, and she said, "Well, you guys are thinking about doing an animated series of Dr. Zammsy. Have you ever thought about doing a live action series?" And we thought, well, our contacts are more in the animation, but we're totally open to it. And then we started talking about how the technology from Mandalorian can really expand a very open world that could be very expensive in traditional forms of making shows. It could just, exponentially, branch out the scope of the show if the world is so heavy on the visuals, you know. So
Yeah.
anyway, it was an interesting conversation with her. Never know where that will go.
Yeah.
Probably nowhere. Who knows? I hope it does.
Yeah.
But
So I just got we got the banner live on that NFTHorizon.io. It's already up there.
Right.
The guy that we talked to this morning.
Let's get the word out. Nice. Oh, he already did that?
Yeah, it's already on. Like if you go to is there a chat in here that I can post this?
There is. On the right hand side, you should see it on the right hand side of your screen, just next to your picture. There should be a little.
Yeah, if you go to this, if you click on this, Matt, it's already on there.
Oh, you putting that in the chat?
I put it in the chat.
Yes.
Yeah, if you just click on that link, you'll see our little banner.
Cool. Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, he's on it. Cool.
Yeah, everybody's gonna see the all our banners for the next 24 hours for our drop that's happening tomorrow, November 9th at 5 p.m. UTC, 12 noon Eastern time for our HODLGOD Dr. Zammsy collaboration.
Yeah, I don't know when this is planning to go up, but like if I'm putting this through YouTube, I'll add all the show note links down below, so I'll put all this stuff at the bottom of the description so you guys can click on all that stuff.
That's perfect. You're a man, dude. Thanks, Gordon. Well, shoot. Does anyone else have anything to contribute today for our weekly podcast? I'd say real quick that I think we're going to get a massive upgrade. Finally, connecting with Gordon on these, and finally doing a video podcast here in the coming weeks too.
Yeah.
You know,
We've got. I was just going to say, we're not going to. I don't know if we're going to announce it officially, but we talked about Carol earlier, but we were going to say for the guys who are listening and want to think about the future, what's going to be happening in the Discord. We've got big plans for making you guys more engaged. And one thing Carol did talk about, initially, but we thought might be good for the community is a drawing contest that Matt and myself might oversee. If you guys want to do any fan art of Dr. Zammsy or the world, or any of Matt's pictures that involve that stuff, then we'd love to see it in the Discord. And we're going to probably try and either give away packs or cards for people who win it.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to check that out in the Discord, or you're an artist and you're listening to this and you want to get involved, then join and drop in your artwork. We'd love to see it.
And who knows, if you're good enough and we love your work, you might even get a hire, but no guarantee. But that does happen in the real world, let me tell you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the same with Hearthstone. I mean, they see people in the world and then get them to make like a card, and then people pay them for the cards. So I mean, if you guys want to work on this project, it is not within the bounds of reality that you could actually do something like that. If your work is good enough and we think it fits the world, then sure, why not?
Yeah. But for starters, we definitely want to do this drawing contest, and then we'll judge the work and give you guys a bit of a reward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really cool. Nice.
Cool.
Do we want to talk really quick about what we got coming up on our plate? We got a Yoshi drop collab that we're going to start working on. We got our first official meeting for the collab this Wednesday, and I'm not quite sure the timeline for the drop, but we're really excited about working with Michael Blue and his team. We're going to potentially get a little snippet from the documentary Dr.Z NFT from John Mountains this week. So we'll be dropping that if that comes online. And the game, huge card game, still massively being produced right now. We got a lot of different gameplay components really dialed in right now, and it's looking really awesome. I think you're actually going to test a little test bed kind of experience, right, Rolf, with Josh on that?
Yes. Yeah, I think today actually in our meeting we're going to be messing around with that.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I mean,
the cards.
I don't want to overstep, but a 10-year Hearthstone card player sitting here, if you want any feedback, I'm quite happy to lend my eyes to that.
I think that's a wonderful plan, Gordon. Well,
as soon as we have something functional, we'll be testing that out with our
definitely
our good buddies.
But what I love that Josh created, he created this. A lot of people would probably keep this a secret, but I think in the NFT space, it's all about buzz. It's all about perception and what you're actually doing. So, it's going to be released anyway. Might as well just start talking about it. But the card frame. So every time you put in an NFT that you collected in our, through primary sales or secondary, you can then port those cards into your account through our card game. And this really cool framing system gets wrapped around your NFT. and there's all these nodes and like weird, cool accessories that you can attach over time to your card to make a power up. That emit like poisons or shields, and they're going to be animated. We're going to have Gordon and Rusty 3D model these, so they're going to be really robust. Josh was considering this tier system in terms of upgrades from like bronze all the way to diamond. So if you go from like bronze to gold, potentially your bronze version will be saved as a copy. And you could sell that on the open secondary market. So not only as you upgrade, but you can then take your previous version and make money off of that older version that you've upgraded. So that's kind of a cool thing. And, as word on the street is that I don't think a whole lot of people are doing this. So it might be a whole new way of approaching an actual card game like Hearthstone.
Yeah. I mean, it's like there's so much potential behind the Zammsy. And I mean, I definitely have seen one of the biggest questions with people coming in is, I mean, there's two parts to it. One is, what is your roadmap? Because people want to know what's the eventual and just what have you got planned for the future. But then there's so much, it's hard to fit into one paragraph or one sentence. But the idea is to take the IP and just throw it in different directions, as many as we can get away with. And the game especially, people are very keen to just, the whole play to earn thing as well. People are want to dive in more as well on how that works. And
it's going to change the industry. It already is.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So Gordon, I don't know if you might have this. I was going to say, Gordon, you might have this already, but if you go on Steam, actually, let me get back to you on what exactly we need. But I believe you need to get this program called Tabletop Simulator, and that's where we're going to be testing out the game. You already have that.
Yes, I have that. Yes. I've played so many board games and that, because they have a VR component now as well, so you can play the stuff virtually. If you put your VR headset on, you can pick up the pieces and throw cards about. So yeah.
Wow. Well, that's where we're headed.
As soon as as soon as we have something to play, we'll have you in there. We can test it out on that Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see the mechanics, because like I said, I'm a long time. Well, I've played card games all my life. For Legend of the Five Rings, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon when I was really young, but then Hearthstone, I've been in it since beta. So I mean, it's ingrained in my inner workings, card games like that. So
also too, the actual table that you modeled with Rusty and everything, there's going to be some changes. We definitely want that's just the starting point. I think we're going to go back and really increase the fidelity of some of the textures and the way it's lit, and just get down to like a really, I just can't wait. When we finally launch this card game, it's going to be gorgeous. It's going to be beautiful. It really is.
Yeah.
It already is.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you guys can, if you're on the good thing about joining the Discord also is, if you guys are listening, is that we post regularly there a lot of the artwork we do, or our work in progress stuff. Or Matt's actually the frames he's been talking about. He has posted those not only on Twitter but again in the Discord. So it's a good way to keep in check with what's happening if you want to keep abreast of what we're doing.
I wonder if we should create a new channel in the server where it's sort of locked, just conceptual art and frames from our production and not chatter, because a lot of things get lost and have to be reposted. It'd be kind of cool to like someplace people can click and they just see a library of content that's just untouched and easy to find. Is that possible?
Yeah, totally, 100%. You can make a channel where like only you could post or only I could post or something. But then again, with Carol coming on even part time, we can start hashing that out as we go forward. So
fantastic.
There's a bunch of new changes coming in the Discord which will make it more interactable. So
yeah, Carol had amazing ideas on how to upgrade that whole system, so I can't wait. Already have our lawyer working on a contract, so it's in the works. Can't wait.
If you don't know officially already, Carol, you're hired.
You're hired. I sent her a great email this morning. So
yeah, that's good.
Okay, guys, well, we don't want to make this too long. Is there anything else anyone wants to add before we go?
Nope. I'm all good.
That's a no.
We still have packs available. No, I mean, just check out DrZammsy.com, and the packs are available on the primary, secondary markets. Just check out our website, and then look for this, getting free void. So we can also, we're going to do some giveaways where we give away some special cards and some void. So everybody should check that out, and check the channels for those announcements.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. It's been fun. We'll do this again next week. And Gordon, thanks for setting everything up. Appreciate it.
No worries.
Okay, guys.
Let's
keep at it.
Aloha.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.